Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Markus Frind. I'm from plentyoffish.com. Plenty of Fish is a Vancouver-based dating service. We started back in 2003. For the first 5 years, I did it all by myself. Got to 15 million users, and then started hiring some employees. And now, a couple of years later, here we are. I'm here at Grow Conference to see what else is new, what else is exciting, making sure I'm not missing anything. And it's a great chance for you to talk to everyone else who's also a CEO or entrepreneur or in the tech space in some way, shape, or form.
And with Plenty of Fish, how is it evolving right now in terms of all the stuff that you're seeing at the Grow Conference, the new kinds of way of presenting? Now they're doing video. There's all these different technologies. Are you looking to still just kind of do the same thing, or are you going to change it, or what are you looking for in the future?
So last year, mobile on Plenty of Fish was about 5% of traffic, and it's 60% of traffic right now. So we've been growing at about 40–50% a quarter overall because of our mobile. So we're at 10 billion page views a month now, and 6 billion of that is for mobile. And that alone grew 8% last week. So we're just seeing tremendous explosion in mobile.
And why do you think that is? How are people actually using it when they're using mobile? What sort of scenarios are they using?
So up until last year, 2 years ago, most people were accessing the internet through just the desktop. But now you have all this extra time that's opened up. You know, people on the subway going to work, people at work. There's just all this extra time in the day where you can use a mobile device to access the internet. So we look at Japan, specifically the social network Mixi, which in 2007, they went from 20% web from 80% web to 20% web, and all the rest of it was mobile traffic. Now we're seeing the same thing happen in North America, where we expect the mobile web will account for 80% of traffic, and then the web stuff will go down to 20%.
So what are the certain specific things that you're doing to present yourself in the mobile environment?
We're not really, the only thing we're doing on the mobile front is we're creating a bunch of apps, and people are just transitioning to them. So we're not marketing it, we're not doing a ton of stuff. It's an exploding market, and you know.
From a technology standpoint, though, like are you laying out the profiles in a certain way to keep people longer on the profile in a mobile environment?
Well, we're building all our apps natively, so we're not doing anything special or unique. We're just displaying the information that they need, and we're basically replicating the desktop side onto a mobile app. And the reason we're doing native mobile apps instead of HTML5 is everything is lightning fast. And if you're in a place like Australia, the native apps are barely usable. I mean, just look at the Facebook app. And even they're going to switch and go native now.
So, where some other people have been getting involved in the local startup community that have had success. There's like the East Side Games and things like that, and then Grow Lab and things like that. Are you getting involved locally, or are you just focused on the business?
Well, we've invested in Boris's fund here in Vancouver, so we're getting involved that way. We do investments, but most of them are international and sort of in the dating space. We've also set aside about 20 million for acquisitions, but mostly again in the dating space and mostly international.
And what sort of, in terms of acquisitions, what would we be looking at?
Anything in the mobile space that's growing or would help us grow. So you know, we launched in Brazil. We were #1 in a matter of weeks, but places like France and Spain, you know, it's a little slower going, so acquisitions there would be interesting. Or in Mexico, you know, we don't have a set formula. There's a lot of places where we expand to, so a lot of it is opportunistic.
And when you're talking about how it's growing in different countries, is it just because you have such a large community right now, or what's the thing that makes it take off in any particular country?
Well, in most of these countries, there's a huge number of competitors already there locally, so we have to buy our way into the market, like via advertising, and then once you get to a critical mass, it explodes and goes viral. So, yeah.
So people have talked about your company for a number of years in terms of, like you said, you're working by yourself, and you're able to make a lot of money, be very profitable. What do you think is the chance of another Plenty of Fish coming along and doing it, or how would they do it that's going to stand out now?
Well, in dating, I don't think there's much of any chance. It is a very old market now. It's 15 years old, very mature. All the costs or all the problems are in user acquisition. So even if a site were to come along, it would take them 5-10 years to become one of the leaders in the space. The only way around it would be, when Facebook came along, there was a bunch of sites that blew up on Facebook. Or with mobile coming along, there was a bunch of mobile apps that became big. But to start from scratch in a well-established market, no way. You need a new form of distribution.
So how do you figure that you were able to be so successful then at the time?
It was thousands of 1% improvements over time, and then we became really big. Everyone at the time was focused on paid dating services. There was no major free dating site. So we were able to take over the market, first Canada, then the US, then UK, and then branch out from there.
And so what are you taking away from being at the Growth Conference?
Well, for me, it's more about the networking and the types of people you meet. So I don't really attend the sessions or it's more standing on the hallway with the other people. It's just a great chance to meet people who are doing similar things to you and learn from them.
Okay.